You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
All right, good morning, LA, and welcome back to another edition of the talk show LA40 here on LA Talk Radio and TV. It is January 24th today. The year is 2019. Yes, it is, and I am your host, Katerina Cozias. Thank you for tuning in. As always, you might be catching us on multiple streams. If you're tuning in via the LA Talk Radio and TV platform, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being supporters of the network. We are ranked number 8 out of the top 50 talk radio stations in the country, which is amazing. And this network has been around for 10 years and has had some of Hollywood superstars come through. Not quite yet on my show. I'm working on that. But very excited that we're here and sharing this platform. If you're joining us today on Facebook, well, thank you for joining us. You are either a friend and a follower of mine, a friend and a follower of LA Talk Radio, or perhaps you're just jumping in for the very first time. So if you are, welcome, and welcome to the show. So today, as you'll notice, guys, there's no one here but me. That's right. We had one of our guest that was scheduled for today had to reschedule. And typically what we do is we look for another guest, right? We look for a guest to kind of jump in. And we have a show schedule, a production schedule that is actually booked out about 6 weeks in advance. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll call one of the other guests, see, hey, you're booked in for March 3rd. Would you like to come a little bit early? And I was scrolling through and I thought, you know what? No. Today we're going to do a show all alone and solo. So if you're there, I thank you for watching and tuning in, and I invite you to stay with me for the next 30 minutes because we're going to delve into some cool topics, something that I want to share with you, and something that is, has been a conversation that I've been having with a lot of people recently, and that is, how do you own your own authentic power in a way that is going to allow you to catapult not only your business, but your life, but the social element of you? And that's what I want to delve into a little bit today. I was doing a little bit of thinking on the car, and, I'm thinking, Katerina, you've just got to be careful that you don't come across as some sort of like verbalizing Instagram post. Because a lot of you that get attracted to the show are attracted to it because of the nature of the show itself, which tends to be vibrational, high vibe in nature, tends to be a little bit around motivation, inspiration, empowerment. That's a little bit about what I'm about. And so the show itself has taken on a bit of that stint. And for those of you who do like and resonate with that kind of information, you probably have your Instagram feed and your Facebook feed full of other people who put out, all those little inspirational quotes. So this isn't going to be so much an inspirational show, so much as it's going to be an invitation to consider some of the things that I've been considering lately. So again, if you're just tuning in, thank you for joining me. We are talking a little bit about authentic power and what that really means. So my observation has been over the course of my years on the planet, society tells me don't share how old you are, Katerina, but we're trying to move away from that because part of owning your authenticity is owning your reality. My reality is I'm 41 years old, and so I'm going to share 41 years worth of my personal truth and wisdom. And part of what I've been able to understand in my 41.11 years on the planet. Yes, I have a birthday in March. I'll give you guys the address to send me presents a little bit later. Don't worry. I like to receive. But part of what I have really come to understand is that there are many different ways of living your life. And everyone is choose to figure out and to move in a way that is going to work for them. But what I've come to recognize is that people that are genuinely happy with their day, happy with their job, happy with their wife, happy with their life, are people who have allowed themselves to listen to what is truly calling their heart and soul. Okay? This is where we're going to get a little inspirational, motivational. When you allow integrity to self, integrity to dreams, integrity to your truth, reality, and authenticity, that is what equates to happiness. Is money going to come? Yes, perhaps. Money could be a byproduct. But happiness comes when you are allowed to do what you want to do for you. Okay? So I want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and how I really genuinely believe, because I've seen evidence of it, that when you step into whatever your business is with a place of alignment with your personal truth, that is where you have the ability to really exponentially grow your ability to succeed with that venture. Right? Think about this, guys. You put your time and your effort into a business that you don't care about, it's inevitable that it's going to flounder. Now, you take that same business and you infuse it with passion and purpose and energy, then you're actually magnetizing from the inside out because of your willingness to want to work on that project, because of your alignment with the truth of that vision, and because of that, you will end up magnetizing all of the other resources and people and opportunities to you. So I found it really interesting because I've been playing in this space, oh God, it's been about 5 years, where I really have finally, and did finally, allow myself mental permission to start to listen to Katerina. Okay? And I want to coin it that way, and I want to phrase it that way because a lot of the work that I do with clients, and I'll get to that in just a little bit, is around recognizing that typically what holds people back is their own inability to let themselves get in the game. So giving yourself mental permission to hit go, mental permission to cross that line, mental permission to pick up your $200, right? Pass go, pick up your $200. Hope you don't go to jail. Anyone play Monopoly as a kid? But when you allow yourself the mental permission to start to listen to what is your own personal truth, that is where the magic happens. So, how do you do that? How do you do that, Katerina, when you've got bills to pay, when you have a commitment with work, when you've been there for 20 years and you just don't know why you've lost your passion for life, but you have? Yes, it's easy to say, I'm going to pursue my passion, but how? I don't know how, guys. I don't know how. I'm not going to tell you how. I'm not going to presuppose to give you any sort of instruction on how to direct your life. What I can tell you that has worked for me and works for a lot of the people within which I share a social circle is that they have decided to work on something that a friend of mine coins emotional fitness. Okay? Emotional fitness. So important. So important because we are thinking beings, right? We are feeling beings, and we're going to get to the feeling in just a little bit. But first and foremost, a lot of us play in the cranium space, right? Our minds are there, we use them, and we can use them in one of two ways. The mind never stops working. But we have a choice, and we have a choice to recognize that we can either allow thoughts that are uplifting, that are creative in nature, that allow for collaboration, that allow for faith, that allow for fun, and we can allow our life to start to spiral in an upward direction, or we can choose the opposite. We can choose to use that mind and play into more dense vibrational places that play in the world of fear and scarcity and lack and competition. The mind is going to work. And it's going to work anyway. So it's absolutely up to us to choose which side of that spectrum we want to play in, which side of that spectrum we want to fuel, which little angel, this little angel or this little devil we want to listen to, because both of them are going to be talking to us, right? So one of the things that I've recognized as someone who works with clients in the capacity of a media strategist and consultant, okay, people say to me, what do you do, Katerina? Well, I host the show here on LA Talk Radio and TV, but I also work with and have worked with clients for a number of years on helping them to gain visibility for their business, for their brand in TV, radio, and print. I'm not going to give you that spiel. A lot of you already know this. But what I came to recognize is the people who were actually showing up on those platforms for their business, the people who actually did really well and killed it when we got them an appearance on their local Channel 6 were people who came with an authentic belief in whatever they were selling, whatever they were pitching, whatever they were promoting. I don't care if you have a book that you've written. I don't care if you have paper cups that you're designing and developing. What is the passion and the belief in yourself about that project that you actually bring with you? So part of tapping into your authentic power and your authenticity as a human being, but again, someone playing in the sphere of business, because I like to keep the contents of this show. Yes, we're going to talk about ethereal things, but I also like to talk about practical things. I'm too much of a practical girl not to. Having said that, I'm also someone who has recognized that when you allow the authenticity of yourself, you genuinely start to live in a space where you feel more grounded as a person. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay. Look at me today, right? For anyone watching on audio, you can't see me, but on visual, you can see me. So I'm going to describe what the heck I'm wearing. And this is good, too, because if you happen to be catching the show and you're vacuuming, right, and you've got the iPad in the kitchen while you're listening, I'm on here today, and I'm wearing a cute little hat, and I've got cute little stuff going on, and I am looking very uncorporate for Thursday morning at 11 o'clock Pacific time, 2 o'clock Eastern, which is the time we're broadcasting live. If you're catching the replay, thanks for catching it. But at the time of this live right now, it is 11:13 a.m. on January 24th. And I'm wearing a cute little hat. And I'm just kind of chilling. You know why? Because I have allowed myself to design my life in a way where I can get up in the morning and I can wear whatever the heck I want to wear. This wasn't always the case for me, because I spent a lot of time, and many of you know my personal story, I spent a lot of time living and working in corporate America. I had a very, very corporate finance job in a corporate finance world with corporate financy people, and long investment banking hours, and very strict regimen on what was acceptable with respect to attire and what wasn't. And I literally spent 10 years of my life, an entire decade, in very conservative black pantsuits with my glasses on and my hair in a bun, and making sure I looked very, very corporate. And that was great. It served me at the time. But there was an element of me that was feeling so unfulfilled with respect to my ability to allow self-expression. So I want to talk a little bit about self-expression for a moment. And for those of you that have been following us and are fans of the show, you're going to remember these few guests that I want to talk to you about. Last week, we had the pleasure of having Miss Michelle Marie Matich on the show, who beautifully expressed her personal truth and allowed herself to have the courage to share that personal truth with you folks. A few weeks before that, we had another gentleman named Riyad Hamid on the show. Riyad Hamdi. Sorry, Riyad. Riyad Hamdi. And Riyad came to this country from Tunisia with $2 in his pocket. He knew no friends. He had no contacts. He had no language. He didn't speak any English, and he had $2 in his pocket. And yet, he had a belief in self. He had a calling to express his personal truth. And he knew that he had a better opportunity of doing that in the US of A, in Western society, than he did living where he was coming from, where he was born and raised. And he chose to take a step in faith on self. So what I want to talk about is trying to understand where your authentic power comes from is not easy, okay? Trust me. People can go through an entire lifetime and never allow themselves to even explore that as a possibility. But my invitation to you is, do you want to get to a place at the end of your life where you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I lived it wrong? Or do you want to get to a place at the end of your life where you say, actually, maybe I made a shit ton of mistakes, but guess what? I actually lived. I want to go back to fear versus faith and courage versus concern, okay? I had the pleasure of interviewing Marianne Williamson. For those of you who are spiritual in nature, you'll know Marianne Williamson. For those of you who are political, you will probably have by now heard of Marianne Williamson. She has announced that she is considering very heavily and strongly putting her hat into the ring for the 2020 presidential election in the USA. Now, I am neutral on politics. I'm not going to tell you what to think, what to do, who to vote for, what side of the camp, blue or red, you want to be on. But I do want to chat with her about her for a moment, because I had the pleasure of interviewing her on one of the other platforms that I host with, Book Circle Online, which is with ABTV. And when I sat with her, we were exploring her topic, her newest book at the time, which was called Tears to... sorry, guys. I'm having a mind blank. Tears to Triumph. And she was talking about the over-medication of Americans with respect to numbing your emotions with pharmaceutical drugs, and how emotions are actually supposed to guide us. They're like a GPS system that allow us to recognize, are we on track and in alignment with our own lives? So if we're actually medicating ourselves so that we don't feel the anxiety, we don't feel the fear, we don't recognize the hurt, then we're never going to allow those emotions to communicate to us in the way that they are intended to communicate. Part of what she was sharing with me when we sat down was this concept that she herself coined, which was pronoia. And I thought it was brilliant, so I want to share it with you. Some of you may have heard me mention pronoia before, but pronoia is actually the opposite of paranoia. Okay? Paranoia, you're scared, you're fearful, you think everyone's out to get you. Pronoia is actually the opposite. It's waking up every day and thinking, geez, look at how supported I am. Gee, I wonder who is going to extend their hand to support me today. Gee, look at all the things that the universe, that God, that infinite source, that a higher intelligence, whatever you want to call that power that most of us feel, is extending to me in a place of support and protection and divine encouragement, rather than scarcity and lack and fear and oh my God, I've got that knot in the pit of my stomach because I was up at 4 a.m. worried about my mortgage. I'm not saying don't worry about your mortgage. I've had a ton of houses I've had mortgages on that I've been worried about, okay? But what I'm saying is we have a choice, going back to what I talked about a little bit earlier, which was the emotional fitness that we choose to execute that allows us to look at life as something that we can master rather than having mastery over us. Another thing she shared with me in that interview was a reminder, and she said to me, Katerina, the problem with most people is that they look at their lives, they're out in this ginormous ocean of, trends and life and economic realities and relationship realities and the whole thing. And she says they feel like they're so alone and isolated. She said, imagine if you were a wave on the ocean and you were just one little lone wave. Wouldn't you be scared to death of all the other waves, right? They're going to come. You don't know what's going to come over you. You don't know what impact it's going to have. You don't know where it's going to come from. And you're sitting there and you're riding this ocean as a little lone wave and you're scared to death. She said, or would you rather see and understand and really genuinely start to believe at a cellular level within your being that as a wave in the ocean, you are actually part of the collective? And you are not alone. In contrast, you are so supported because as the ocean wave goes up, so do you. As the ocean swell goes down, so do you, little wave on this swell of life. And so when she and I had this conversation, it was probably about 18 months ago or so. And it resonated with me because of the truth of what she has come to understand as her own personal wisdom. And of course, she has a voice and she is now sharing that, has been sharing it nationally, and is now about to share it, what seems like, her efforts and her attempts are going to be on a national scale. I want to stick with her for just one more moment. And again, I'm politically neutral. I'm actually Canadian, so I can't even vote in an American election. But I do want to use her as another example because some of you may not know that a few years ago, she played in the political sphere as a candidate for Congress, for a representative of the state of California. And she came in 4th out of 16 candidates in that constituency. And somebody asked her the other day, they said, you've already failed in politics. Why would you try again? And she said, I haven't failed. She said, I simply gained a ton of experience. I was made aware of a whole more ton of things that I didn't know, I was not aware of. I was perhaps unrealistic in my understanding and expectations of how things could go, should go, and do go. And she says, that was not a failure. That was a stepping stone to solidifying and adding to my personal foundation of greatness so that I can continue to elevate towards my greatness. So again, looking at that, looking at the perception around how you look at life, a lot of the thing that holds people back is fear, right? It's the fear of failure. Well, shit, of course that's going to be scary. Why would you want to fail? You don't. But a lot of times it's not the fear of failure that is holding people back. It's the fear of public judgment. Okay. And as someone who plays in the media space, as a premium transformational leading expert in my space of media and communications, one thing I know for sure is that everyone has the ability to determine how they're going to react to a situation, how they're going to allow it to frame them and really allow them to build and grow on it. And what I've seen with the clients that we work with who really have a vision for themselves, for their passion, for their brand, for their life, for their family, is they recognize that, yes, there are going to be boulders on the path. And you can either stop and go home, or you can figure out a way to get resourceful. It's not about the resources. You may not have the time. You may not have the money. You may not have the contacts. You may not have the skill set yet. But how and where and is your resourcefulness to allow the creativity of mind, to allow the imagination to start to move, which Einstein actually coined is the greatest power on earth, the imagination of the human person. How do you tap into that intangible tool that each of us has in order to become resourceful, to attract the resources that you need to make your vision and your reality happen? And going back to the work that I do with clients, one of the things that I see a lot of people struggle with is their fear of public speaking. Right? They'll come to me, they'll say, Katerina, I know my business will benefit from more media exposure. I know it's going to be better for me to spend my efforts trying to get in front of 200,000 people on my local Channel 6 versus 20 people at my local neighborhood meetup. But I don't want to get in front of the camera. I don't want to get up on stage. I don't want to share my message publicly. And a lot of times I ask them, well, why not? And they say, because I have a fear of public speaking. And I smile when I hear that. I hear it a lot. And I smile when I hear that, and I always ask them, I said, you know what some of the biggest fears that are common fears that people have around the world? And they go, what are those? And I said, the fear of public speaking is one of the top fears. The fear of spiders, right, arachnophobia, and a fear of heights. Let's just take those three for now. And I say to them, with the fear of spiders, arachnophobia, and fear of heights, one could argue that, yes, there is a little bit of a risk of physical harm. I could fall off a ladder. I could get bitten by a poisonous spider. I could die, 100%. There is no physical fear element that can realistically hurt you when it comes to public speaking, okay? But the fear is not the public speaking that holds people back. It's actually the fear of public judgment, okay? People are scared of what is the neighbor going to think. So what I'd love to ask you to think about for a moment is how often, how frequently, or how prevalently has that fear of what is the neighbor going to think? What is my dad going to think? What is my spouse going to think? How has that, or has it, maybe it hasn't, I know it has in my life, how has that allowed you to limit your own growth, to limit your own commitment to your own dreams, to limit your own willingness to even give yourself mental permission to allow the imagination to play? So if you're out there and you're an entrepreneur, and even if you're not, and you just have a hobby that you wish you could devote a little more time to, that you know if you did would probably lighten your spirit a little bit, like, open up your soul a little bit, I would invite you to consider, what is it that allows you to remain stuck? And if you are, I want to share and recommend a book to you. It's a book called Turning Pro. If you haven't read this book, it's called Turning Pro. Grab a pen, write it down, by Stephen Pressfield. Probably you can get it on Audible or on Amazon Kindle for $3. Please get that book. Stephen Pressfield talks about and shares his personal story on how many years he went through life knowing in his gut that he was meant to be a writer, and hiding behind every excuse in the mental book around why that wasn't going to work for him, what other people were going to think about him, what would happen if he failed. He spent a ton of years actually as a truck driver, driving nationally as a truck driver, feeling less and less and less alive. Nothing against truck drivers. That could be your dream and your passion. Amazing. I like road trips. Anyone want to go on a road trip with me? DM me later because I got some free time. But he actually spent a lot of time not allowing his personal truth to come forth. And when he finally did, he became a national bestseller. He has a number of books, and they are pivotal. But the reason I bring up Turning Pro specifically is he has a whole chapter about the tribe mentality, right? Which is exactly addressing that point. What is the other person going to think? What is that going to mean to me and my ego and my willingness to actually listen to my own personal truth? So what is your genuine knowing, guys? Because I asked myself that question a few years back. I said, Katerina, your life is good. It's fine. On paper, it's awesome. You're living in a place where you're in your mid-30s, and for some reason, you're starting to get this feeling of regret. And you're just too damn young to be living in your mid-30s with regret. And it was regret around not having stepped into the full authentic version of me, not having taken and cultivated a real respect for the gifts that were intrinsically handed to me, which in my case happened to be just a talent around communication, a talent around presentation, a talent around owning and really genuinely in the depths of my being and my soul and my cellular structure, knowing that I am meant to sit here and communicate and use my voice with impact and purpose and for a greater plan, which I don't even know what that is yet. But until I allowed myself to recognize that that was a gift given to me, and now the question was, what the heck am I going to do with it? Until I allowed myself mental permission to think, you know what, maybe I should try and figure out how to cultivate this, how to use it, and release the stress of the how, release the stress of the what. What's going to happen if I do? I don't know what's going to happen. Let's play in a space of infinite possibility. Because again, emotional fitness allows you to master your own sense of true north, right? Life is like a pendulum, guys, and it swings to the left on a good day and to the right on a bad day. Is that your left and right? I don't know. I'm backwards. We've got sort of a reflectionary reversal. But anyway, one way is left, one way is right, one way is positive, one way is negative. And 95% of the population is sitting on the wrecking ball, right? So here's the pendulum. The wrecking ball is here. Again, I'm going to use the visual because I tend to be a visual person. I have a lot of male tendencies, male traits, and I'm very visual. So I'm going to use the visual of Miley Cyrus, right, naked with her boots on this pendulum, and she's swinging to the left and she's swinging to the right, and she is allowing herself, all ourselves, to be swung on that current called life. And when you do, you have no control. You are holding on for dear life because what if the economy goes south? What if your spouse cheats on you? What if the mortgage doesn't get paid? And you're so damn scared. On the flip side, what if life's going great, right? What if everything is coming the way you want it? But it's natural that the pendulum, because it's the rhythms of life, it's a cause and effect universe. It's going to move. It's going to bounce. It's going to flow. Emotional mastery, emotional fitness allows you to actually get off of that wrecking ball. Move yourself up to a place where you are on the structure that is supporting that ball. You're now up here, and that ball is swinging, but you aren't swinging with it. You are now choosing which direction you want to be swung, okay? And when you start to develop that within yourself, then life becomes a much more enjoyable. And I'll tell you why it's enjoyable, because now you have control over how you want to perceive your day. Do you wake up and think, oh my God, what's going to happen at 2 in the afternoon? Or do you wake up and go, oh my gosh, what's going to happen at 2 in the afternoon? Right? It's actually really funny. Speaking of Instagram, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about an Instagram meme that I found the other day. Some of you may have seen it. It was just last week. But I thought it was genius. And it was a little square Instagram post, and the top half had a little emoji. It was a little sad face, and the sad face was blue. And under the blue little sad face, the writing was, "Nobody cares about me." And right under it was a little happy face emoji, right? Same thing, same little dude, but he was happy and he was yellow. And under him said, "No one cares about me." So the point is, Some people will look at that and go, no one cares. Some people will look at it and go, no one cares, which means I'm free to do what I want. The point is, if you choose, and you can absolutely choose which part of the spectrum, which part of the pendulum you allow yourself to get swung on, you can then decide whether or not you're going to be looking at a universe that is pronoia or full of paranoia. And I'm telling you guys, it's so much more fun when you're on the pronoia side of things. Authentic truth, and that's how I started, and I'm going to close up here pretty soon because this has been a one-way conversation, and if you've stuck with me, I'm glad that you have. You know, it's funny. I am such an example of somebody who is living her personal truth, her personal passion, her personal pleasure, and 90% of my time, my day, I'm genuinely living in a super happy, fun space to the point where I am being, and I genuinely believe, electrified from the inside out, guys. And it's crazy because I tend to be a real aggressive person anyway. And the social circles that I've been playing in recently, the masterminds that I've been having, the people that are coming and showing up in my world and that I'm aligning with are all just bringing me to a point where I'm starting to levitate off the ground. And I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. But there's so much energy in me. In fact, somebody commented the other day, like, physically, Katerina, like, your body is heated. It's like heating up. And I I have so much energy, guys, that I want to share with you, and I want to use in a way that is going to be impactful and purposeful and just ignite you today. But I picked up a bottle the other day, and of course, you know, me, for those of you who know me, I'm a very physical person. So I put it in my mouth, and I tried to crack it open with my teeth, and I actually ended up cracking a tooth. So I have to go to the dentist. But the reason I'm bringing this up is I was really excited to come here today and do the show on my own. And when I was getting ready in the morning and I was kind of looking through my closet, I don't have any formal corporate meetings today, don't have to be in a business suit. So I thought, what the heck do I feel like wearing today? The hat came out. But the funny thing is, I pull the hat out, and as I'm playing with the rim, I crack the rim. So I don't know if you can see it, probably not, because we can't zoom with this particular camera angle. But yeah, so I cracked the rim just because of the immense amount of energy and power that I have. So my point is, when you start allowing your own authenticity, your own personal truth. My personal truth was, yes, I lived in a place for many years where I was trying to placate mom and dad. I was trying to placate society. I was trying to placate the institutions. I was trying to placate the vision of what I thought life was going to be like. When I allowed myself mental permission, that's one of my favorite words, favorite phrases, to step into, but who is Katerina really? And what is she really here about? What is she really going to do? What is she really intended to cultivate within herself that is going to allow her to live in a place of impact and purpose and grace and flow and ease and yes, financial abundance? That's what gets me high and happy in the day and in the morning. And so authentic power and tuning into what yours is. Oh, people, I just really want to share with you the beauty and the magic that can come from that, you know. And if we allow ourselves to get away from a fear and a scarcity mentality and actually look at the uncertainty of life. Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs. One of them is uncertainty. The other one is certainty. So we have this dichotomy of needing certainty and yet needing uncertainty. If you can allow uncertainty to be phrased and positioned in your own mind as something that actually allows for immense mystery. And in mystery comes magic. And with magic comes passion. And, you know, with passion come all of the other fun things in life. So, you know, I said I was going to close up. I'm going to close up here. But I really just wanted to thank you for your time, for spending it with me. I want to, since I have the platform here, announce a few things before I let you go. For those of you who have seen me live on stage, please come and join me again. There are big stages that are coming up that I'd love you to join me and invite you to if you can make it down. The first one coming up is the City Summit and Gala. City Summit and Gala happening February 21st to the 24th here in Los Angeles. City Summit and Gala named the #1 conference to attend in 2019 by Inc. magazine. Big shout out to them. But side note, big shout out to the team at Secret Knock, Mr. Greg Reed, and also to the team at CEO Space, Bernie and September Dorman, for also making that list. And all 3 of those conferences are amazing. If you get a chance to attend, I would highly recommend that you do. But come and see me live on stage at City Summit and Gala. They just announced that one of their keynote speakers and featured guests is going to be Colin Farrell. So ladies, for those of you who like a little star power in Hollywood, the City Summit Gala is happening. Gala, my Canadian accent is coming out. Tomato. The City Summit Gala is going to be happening on Oscar night. It's one of the Hollywood parties to attend, and there's such a beautiful charitable element associated with that party. And I'd love to invite you to that. So click below. I think on the link is the link to pick up your tickets. Also, coming down the pipe, folks, the next CPI training, the CPI training and seminar. This is a seminar that I co-lead called Charisma, Persuasion, and Influence. We hold these once a quarter, myself and my fellow co-trainer, Mr. Jim Lutz, who is probably one of the top subconscious mind programmers in the world. This man is a genius at helping you strategically position your language in a way that allows you to use persuasion and influence to make things happen for you in your life, but in a way that is not off-putting to the other person. We couple that with all of the training that I do on charisma, confidence, and communication skills as a media expert, as someone who has done this, as someone who counsels high net worth individuals across the nation on how to strategically position their language for growth. You get both of us in a room together. And yes, we're announcing that date. It's going to be April 6th, our next one. So next one is coming up in San Diego. We're going to be doing one shortly thereafter in Dallas. So hit me up for those details. We're going to be putting that link up soon. Also, want to share that I am going to be co-producing an event called Smart Women Rising. We are solidified for the dates May 22nd to 24th. That one happening also in California. So sorry, folks, Katerina's hanging in California these days, but this time in Long Beach, California. This is going to be a hugely instrumental 3-day conference for women by women, inviting smart women who are rising to get more involved in the conversation around how do we position ourselves and our communities for continued success and growth. So many different elements to this. How do we redefine the conversation around what women can do for society and get a lot of us super, super excited. So many women I know wake up in the morning, they go to their jobs and they're feeling like there's so much more that they can do, but they don't want to go be lobbyists in Washington, and they don't want to go feed the homeless in the Congo, and they don't want to leave their families, but they don't just want to be sitting on a static Excel spreadsheet wondering there has to be more than this. And so please keep an eye on that Smart Women Rising Conference, May 22nd to 24th. I'm trying to think of what else we have going on down the pipe. Change your blueprints, change your life. This is another seminar workshop that I co-lead with Mr. Wyatt McCain. This one happens monthly. For those of you who joined us last week, thank you for joining us. We hope that you gained pivotal insight into how accessing the subconscious mind, how going down into the blueprints and really recognizing what's happening under the surface is allowing you to either move your life forward or move your life back. Now, people say to me, Katerina, why are you getting involved in all these conferences? You're a media strategist. You're a TV host. You're a, personality. Because part of Katerina's genius, part of what she has recognized as her unique gift, her authentic truth, is to use her voice for a bigger purpose, for more good, to be able to help people move to a place where they are living life, where their body is physically on fire. So I'm super excited about where this year is going to go for so many of us. I do want to plug a few things. If you are feeling stuck, if you're really, really feeling stuck and you just don't know, yeah, Katerina, everything you said is great, but I'm stuck in my own head and I want to move to this place of pronoia, Marianne Williamson, but I'm stuck in paranoia. I am going to plug my own book because I got a microphone and that's what I'm going to do. My good friend and co-author, Danielle Martin, based in Portugal, she and I wrote this book called Rising Up from Mental Slavery, How to Unleash Your Infinite Potential. We were together in a mastermind a few years back, and we realized that as women on two different parts of the globe, from two different cultural backgrounds, with two different sets of visions, we had so many things in common, and a lot of that was that we lived a portion of our life in a place of self-dialogue that was not serving. self-dialogue that was saying, who the heck does she think she is? She's never going to make it. You're never going to commit. People are going to laugh at you. People are going to wonder what you're up to. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not thin enough. You're not fat enough. What mental dialogue are you allowing yourself to keep you held back? And if you would like some assistance in unleashing that, overcoming that, we have a roadmap, and we have outlined practical skills for you to help move you through that. So this one's available on Amazon. Yes, it is. I'm a fan of physical books, people. But even if you're not, there's the Amazon Kindle audio version. And I'm going to plug one more book. Whoop, whoop. This is the second one that I'm involved in. This is an anthology of sorts. It is the fastest growing book series in the personal development and empowerment space, called the Change Book Series, Insights into Self-Empowerment. I co-authored a chapter in book number 15. Mr. Bernie Dorman of CEO Space, one of my favorite people, is the foreword writer of this particular book. Book number 16 has just come out. The foreword done by Mr. Les Brown, for those of you that play in the space. If you are an author, if you are a coach, if you are someone with personal wisdom to share, I would invite you to get involved in the Change Book community. My particular chapter, for those of you that have read it, is called Answering the Call. Have you answered the call of personal potential? And once you do, what the heck do you do with it? Well, you figure out how to pitch, polish, and promote yourself in a way that others will hear and listen to you. Why is that my chapter? Because my experience in the last 10 years has been in media and communications. It has been in working with clients and people to polish, pitch, and promote their message in a way that can get their intention and their authentic truth out into the world, out in front of the people that need to know about their product, about their service, but in a way that is going to allow them to be remembered by those who sit in front of that TV screen and listen to them. So if you are looking for media exposure for your business or your brand, you recognize that, yes, Facebook is awesome, and it is, but it would really serve you to get in front of 200,000 people, then please come and talk to me, because our company does that. We have nationwide coverage, and we work with some of the best to get them onto the cover of some of their favorite magazines. That is my tactical business. We added, for those of you that follow me, you know this, a mindset piece to that, the mindset division. As America's Media Mindset Mentor, I now also work with clients to help them get into the mental framework of allowing themselves to show up as the most authentic and powerful version of them. And then once we've created that foundation, we then get them into the tactical portion of the exposure, and we knock it out of the park as a team. So we are here to lock arms with you. I talk a lot. I just took up 45 minutes of your life. And there wasn't even a guest here, but I'm in a good space. I've had a good day. It is going to be a good day, and I wish all of you a good day. Don't miss catching us here every Thursday on LA Talk Radio and TV, and also streaming live on my Facebook. We have a fun guest next week, assuming she doesn't cancel. But you know what? It's called one of those things. I got to get it working so I can tune off here, guys. It's one of those things where you just need to flow with life. A guest cancels, guess what? Then show up for yourself on your own. Put a hat on, break the rim, and see where life's going to go. We don't know who's going to call at 2 o'clock. Could be the best call of your life. All right, I'm Katerina Cozias. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.